Well, clearly here, Donald Tusk and the rest of the European establishment has done a very good job on behalf of the European Union of putting together a deal that protects the main DNA of the European Union, whether the single market, issues of collaboration between European countries, and trying to move away from a series of demands from the United Kingdom throughout the negotiation during the Brexit talks. So definitely Donald Tusk is encouraging all countries to sign this deal, which is what the European Union could actually hope to have in the best case scenario, and actually protect the European Union for any other countries wanting in the future to try to leave the Union. The last country that was keen on potentially opposing the agreement was Spain over this question of Gibraltar. But that again is an example of how Theresa May was very quick in kind of caving in to other countries instead of putting together a position that would be potentially more adamant and more stronger on behalf of the United Kingdom. That's going to cost her very deeply when she comes back to London.
You raised the Gibraltar issue. As we heard from Kevin, it's been resolved apparently. But how come Gibraltar came up at the last minute, out of the blue, as a sticking point? Is there anything else that could come out of the blue to scupper these talks?
Well, basically, we're looking at same scenario as a poker game here. I mean, we're seeing that all the cards were in the hands of the European countries. Spain used the opportunity to try to reinforce the territorial claim over Gibraltar. That is actually, the history of Gibraltar dates back from more than 300 years. In 1713, the Treaty of Utrecht actually gave the sovereignty of Gibraltar to the United Kingdom, and it was a constant demand, especially since the second half of the 20th century, for Spain to actually exercise some kind of sovereignty over that territory. And during several different votes, in the referendum in 1967, in 2002 again, Gibraltar actually rejected co-sovereignty from Spain. Spain understood that there was an historical opportunity right now for Theresa May, representative of the United Kingdom, to kind of agree to this kind of joint sovereignty, the fact that now Gibraltar, in terms of their external relation, will have to go through Spain to sign any agreements with the European Union, and they actually were very wise to move forward on this issue.
So Kevin said this is going to be a very quick summit on Sunday. What's the point of it, do you think, bearing in mind that Theresa May almost certainly doesn't have the numbers in the House of Commons to get this through?
Well, basically here it's a very important for the European Union side, showing that if any other country wants to move away from the European Union, this is basically the blueprint that any country will have to follow. Pay up a large debt ahead of time, that just reimburse a series of the European economy aid to those countries, but also agree to follow up a template of divorce settlement that have been negotiated during the Brexit. Okay. On the side of the UK, it's actually much more limited because indeed Theresa May doesn't have the number. Right. Although the referendum is unlikely in the UK because even the Labour Party would rather have a general election, seeing Theresa May crumble in the Parliament and just win the majority after a general election. Just
very quickly, Remi, if you will, very quickly indeed. I'm hearing talk more and more about a second referendum. What do you think of the chances of that?
Well, the large population actually would be interested in potentially having a second referendum, but it's not in the interest of any political actor in the House of Commons today. The Tories want to remain in majority, and they will actually definitely lose the majority if they were to go back, lose the vote again if there were a new referendum. So there would not be any possibilities for Brexit. On the other side, as I was saying, the Labour Party really wants to win the next year election and would rather see Theresa May have to resign over a lost vote in the House of Commons.